What does the Blackhawks' ideal offseason look like? We've got lots of playoff news to talk about and a whole lot more. Join us next on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast, powered by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm Jay Zawoski. That's Mario Tirabassi. Joey's here running the show for us today. We've got kind of a lot to get to and only an hour to do so. So do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. Podcast listeners, follow, subscribe, review, all that great stuff. We'd really, really appreciate it. We've got some mailbags to wrap up. We've got some NHL news. We've got some playoffs to talk about. But today we're going to start the show talking about our ideal offseason for the Chicago Blackhawks. And this was your brainchild, so I'll let you set things up. I like the idea very, very much.
Yeah. I woke up early this morning, about a little bit before 6 o'clock. Had to use the bathroom, as one does as they get older.
Yep.
No. just normal pre my alarm going off, waking up.
Yes,
but,
of course.
And yeah, as one does, you start panic thinking about your day ahead. And I was like, you know what? This might be good. So figured we would talk about, obviously the head coach is probably the biggest thing going on right now for the Hawks. Our top pick for free agent, our top pick in the draft, and then two extra things going on potentially this offseason that we would like to see that would fit a quote-unquote ideal Blackhawks offseason for both you and I's perspective. So why don't we start with head coach?
Sure. I'm going to get mine in first because by the time the show's over, it may be invalid.
Yeah.
My vote for head coach is Mike Sullivan. He checks all the boxes you want checked in a head coach that the Blackhawks are looking for. He is obviously a veteran. He has past success. He's done a decent job developing players while kind of winning at the same time. A little bit more of a hard ass than you had with Anders Sorensen and Luke Richardson. I think it's a no-brainer. If the Hawks can somehow convince Mike Sullivan to become their head coach, they should. That said, it seems like the smoke today is that he is very, very close to joining the Rangers as their head coach, which is absolutely not a surprise. That's kind of the one everyone thought it was going to be there or Boston. It looks like it's going to be the Rangers, but until it is, Mike Sullivan remains my dream head coach for the Blackhawks because David Carl has already opted out.
Right, yeah, and what you're talking about is Vince Mercogliano's report coming from USA Today. Literally, as like we were getting ready for the show, we were just like, "Oh, there's some information." He says nothing official, but sounds like things are getting close and very much towards trending towards Mike Sullivan becoming the next coach of the Rangers. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a team that was expected to be better in the postseason. They're not a rebuilding team. They're looking to win now, and as would Sullivan want to be doing that. But until it's official, he should be on the Blackhawks radar. My pick is a guy that I think there was some steam with him 2 years ago as the coaching carousel started to turn. Last year, his name popped up a little bit. His name's popping up again. It's Jeff Halpern. He's an assistant with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's been there in that organization for the last 10 years, both with their AHL club and with the Lightning in the NHL. He's been an assistant under John Cooper that entire time. He's been part of their coaching staff for their 2 Stanley Cups. So he's coming from an organization that has been at the top of the NHL. He's from the, call it coaching tree, quote unquote, of a guy like John Cooper, who if he was a free agent coach,
Yeah.
would be the top pick of every team looking for a head coach. But I like that aspect of it, the environment he's coming from, the coaching tree aspect. Just short of 1,000 NHL games played, was never like the superstar.
Yeah, good, not
in
great.
the NHL. Like a really good, I've heard the term detail-oriented NHL player when he was around. Was the captain of the Washington Capitals, I think, for a season or two, prior to Alex Ovechkin taking over that role. And one of the things that I think that I've come to learn about him is his mixture of the analytical side of hockey, the modern analytical side, and still also tapping into that more quote-unquote old school eye test kind of thing and mixing that balance. And I think that kind of fits what the Blackhawks have going on. I think that they have either the most or tied for the most people in their analytics department in the NHL of any organization. So the emphasis that they have put on that department since Kyle Davidson's taken over, really they're tapped into the analytical side. So that could be something that mixes with Halpern in his approach. And again, I think the Blackhawks position offers a really good opportunity for that, getting their first head coaching experience opportunity for a coaching candidate that has been an assistant for a number of years and could be looked at as someone who wants to take that next step.
And I mean, it's coming from, like you said, the John Cooper tree, which is anytime there's a successful coach in any sport, the first assistants to get hired are those assistants. I mean, if you look at the NFL with Bill Belichick, who's the pud that always gets the offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels.
Oh yeah, Josh
who just
McDaniels.
Like keeps getting hired and just never seems to work out.
Matt Patricia.
Matt Patricia as well.
Like
Gets another run at all the time. Charlie Weiss.
Weiss.
All the Belichick disciples.
Right. And I'm not saying that Jeff Halpern won't work because those guys didn't, but that's the common thing. And it makes sense because you look at, I think it would pretty much be a consensus that John Cooper is at worst a top 3 coach in the NHL from pretty much everyone you would poll.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want someone that was with a guy like that. That's certainly, if you need a tiebreaker, working for John Cooper versus not working for John Cooper is a pretty solid tiebreaker. So I see where you're coming from with Halpern. We'll see. I mean, there's not been any names surfacing at all with this Hawks job search, which is a little bit frustrating. Pierre LeBrun today around 12:45 said he's hearing that Ducks have interviewed Jay Woodcroft. He also heard Ducks GM Pat Verbeek recently met with David Carl. Believe Anaheim has also made contact with Mike Sullivan, as reported by others. Joel Quenneville will soon get a second interview. Other names in the mix. Wide search by the Ducks. It doesn't mean the Hawks aren't doing this. It doesn't mean they're not talking to people. It just means that it hasn't gotten out yet.
Right. Yeah.
And the Hawks are pretty good at keeping stuff internal. They don't have a lot of leaks, to my chagrin.
Yeah, for our business. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna put money on it, any information that's gonna come out before the team puts it out officially about the Hawks, I'm gonna put a shiny nickel that it's Frank Saravalli that's gonna have it. But yeah, I mean, I would imagine most of that list is also on the Blackhawks list and probably already has had conversations as well.
Yep.
Most of that list.
Bill in the chat says, if Carl signs in Anaheim, what does that say about the Hawks? It says that he thinks the Ducks are further along than the Hawks, which they probably are. That's probably fair.
Yeah. I would agree that the Ducks and their rebuilding process is at least a step ahead of the Blackhawks, if not 2. I mean, and again, as you talk about David Carl and what he wants to do, if he ever wants to get into the NHL, if now is the time, or if he's waiting, a few years, we'll see how that pans out. But if he was stepping into, his first head coaching role, good money is that he would want to do it with a team that is the closest to victory, that would also balance out the expectations of how quick you get there.
Yeah.
Boston, New York, like they're looking to be competitive right away, and those markets would be ruthless towards a team that hires a new coach, a first-time coach, and then they fall short of expectation. Anaheim, I feel like if it were Carl to step in there and they have the same kind of season they did this year, it wouldn't be a vitriol-filled reaction from the fan base. I think they'd be like, okay, we're close. And I think that they would probably buy into the future there.
Gold Dust says, so Carl, more interest in Anaheim. There's nothing in that comment that said anything that he's more interested in Anaheim. All it says is that Pat Verbeek spoke to him. Mm-hmm. Kyle Davidson spoke to him as well.
Specifically because Carl said that it came out that Carl had taken his name out of consideration. Right. So that means there was a conversation, and he said, no. Right. Which is, I'm sure, could have exactly been the same thing that happened with Anaheim.
All right, let's move on to our ideal draft pick. I'm going to go with Michael Misa as my ideal draft pick for the Chicago Blackhawks. We talked, we're going to have a little mini pod coming up later this week, previewing Matthew Schaefer. That'll be up, I believe, Saturday. We talked a lot about him in there, but I hate picking for need, but the Hawks are deep at defense. Mm-hmm. They need top 6 scoring. Michael Misa is my guy. That's who I'm choosing for the Blackhawks because he checks a lot of boxes being checked in this show. I'm sorry, I'll find a new analogy.
I mean, you got to.
He fills a lot of holes that the Hawks have, and it just makes a lot of sense. It seems like Schaefer's 1, Misa's 2, and then there's a big blob at 3, 4, 5, 6.
There's a group.
I've liked. My opinion of Misa has grown and grown and grown as the year has gone on. It seems like that's sort of happening nationally with him as well. So, scorer, big and strong, all the stuff you need. And now you're talking about Bedard, Nazar, Misa, and your top 6. That's not even adding a free agent, which we'll get to next. It's pretty solid right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, I think Matthew Schaefer is the consensus number 1 guy in this draft class. But, I mean, it is not a wide margin. I think Michael Misa is a very close number 2. I mean, depending on who you talk to, they might even say that Michael Misa is the number 1 guy in the draft class. But I'm going to agree if my ideal draft pick would be Michael Misa. If the Blackhawks landed at number 1 and took Matthew Schaefer, I would not be upset about it because you're going with the best player available in the draft.
Sure.
But if they land 1 and take Misa, I'm also going to be like, yeah, that also makes sense.
It tracks. Yes.
If they land 2 and get him there, that seems right in line with how things should shake out. So I think, like you said, like he hits every marker that they need in a top forward prospect to put alongside Bedard, a guy that has been in a leadership role, a guy that can skate well, a guy that can obviously score, put up points, play big minutes, play a physical game. Like he's not the biggest guy, but he's not another sub 6 foot, 100 and change pound player. They have a number of those guys that, not to say that those guys are bums just because they're small. But
that's how it works.
Having some size alongside the skill and the skating ability and everything, that, just kind of gets you an extra step. So if it ends up being Misa, I feel like I'm going to be very happy with that. Just because I think like it's the top forward guy that you need that you can pair alongside Connor Bedard and say like, okay, these two are the running mates. As we had with Taves and Kane, you could have Bedard, Misa, and then on top of that, you also have Frank Nazar emerging as one of the top guys that you expected him to be. Who knows what Oliver Moore is going to be at the NHL level, but the speed is obviously there. And then, you got Boisvert, Lardis, Kanserov, Van Acker, like a lot of really nice second-tier forwards coming up behind those guys.
All right, coming up next, we're back with our top free agent pick and we'll call them wild cards.
Yeah.
Our 2 sort of extra steps to make it a perfect offseason for the Blackhawks. Stick around. Back in a moment on CHGO Blackhawks, presented by Bet365. And we've been telling you about our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary for years now. It's your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, and I know it can be a little bit of you feel like I'm not really sure what I want. I don't want to come off as a noob coming into a dispensary. You want to feel like you know what you're talking about. Don't worry about that. At Sunnyside, they're going to make you feel welcome. They're going to make you feel informed so you can leave with the products you need and you can get home and have the experience you seek, whether it's sleep, whether it's relaxation, whether it's get a little more social, be ready for a night out of town, whatever it might be. Sunnyside's going to get you squared away. They've got great brands like Good News and Mindy's. Those are my two favorites. And if you're a pro, they've got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu and new ones added every day. They're expertly curated by their wellness advisors. They've got their staff picks collection, so check that out. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Yes, you heard me right. 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders.
That's like 150% off.
That's right. That's Steiner math.
Steiner math.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw it this morning again.
Yeah, today
popped up in my feed. I love that.
The 17th anniversary of Steiner
Oh,
math.
nice.
Yeah. If you don't know what that is, go and take a look. Even if you're not a big fan of pro wrestling, it will brighten your day. What will also brighten your day, besides Sunnyside, is Prize Picks. Our friends over at Prize Picks. You can sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. You don't even need to win. Just receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed after playing that lineup. Prize Picks is the best place to do daily fantasy sports. You can choose between 2 all the way up to 6 different stat categories. Just pick more than or less than on those stat categories, and you can be a winner. Prize Picks also has weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, which happen each Tuesday.
Oh,
and they discount select player stat projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Again, it's just more than or less than. You don't have to get into the weeds of everything. It's just, is tonight, let's say, Mitch Marner, let's say, more than or less than 0.5 goals. If you think he's going to score, more than. If you think he's going to be held off the goal sheet,
simple.
Less than.
Very
That's
simple.
how it goes. And then you can stack up your lineup right now with Prize Picks and have a shot to win up to 2,000 times your money. And tomorrow is Flex Friday, so you can opt into that. Use the lineup builder to be eligible for their protected play, and you can, if your lineup doesn't hit protected play, you still get credit to keep playing with Prize Picks. It's just an awesome app to use, a lot of fun, especially come Stanley Cup playoff time. So download the app today. Use the code CHGO, and you're going to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download Prize Picks today. Use the code CHGO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
All right, do that. Game time's fun. We got some super chats we got to get to real quick.
Prize Picks.
Why do we mix those up?
Game time, Prize Picks.
It happens all the time.
Game time, Prize Picks.
That must be it.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know why.
It's all sports based.
What time is it? Prize Picks. Just making it worse. All right, $5 from History Racer. That's Racer, not Eraser. Thanks for the breakdown. The last 2 shows. Would another argument for winning the lottery be to attract top-tier coaching candidates? Well, it certainly won't hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
If the Hawks get the number 1 pick.
Sure.
And again, we talk about these things where a coach is on the fence and it's a tiebreaker between Team A and the Blackhawks. Oh, they got the first pick again? Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a nice.
I'll be going to Chicago.
It's a nice sweetener, that's for sure.
Yes. $2 from Chris Boots. Thanks, Chris.
Boots.
And Kyle Hecker says it became a new diehard. Love
Nice.
the commentary. Thank you, Kyle. We appreciate that. Thanks so much.
See if there's Joey, see if there's another comment in there from Chris Boots, because sometimes we'll have people send us the super chat. And there
we
Here
go.
we go.
Yep.
Yeah, here's the comment. It says, might be biased because I just made a bet with my brother that the Hawks will sign him, but I would love to have Sam Bennett on the Hawks, and I'm willing to back up the Brinks truck to get him. That's a really good idea. Having a guy that is had the success of playing with the Panthers the last couple of years, won a Stanley Cup, was integral in that run, and is just a nuisance to play against in the playoffs. That's the kind of player that I think would be great for the Blackhawks.
It's a culture
moving
setter.
forward. Yeah, for sure. That's a guy that when you get to those, when you get into those tough aspects of the season, not just on the ice playing the game, but having been through those long stretches of seasons, knowing when to turn it on, turn it off, how to take care of yourself on and off the ice and play that like around the net, in your face, borderline dirty style.
It's fine. Give me a guy like that.
When he's on your team, you kind of come around on it. So yeah, I'd be all for Sam Bennett being a free agent signing with the Blackhawks.
Well, that leads us nicely into our next category.
It's Sam Bennett.
For our ideal free agent signing for the Chicago Blackhawks, I'm not going to shock anyone. I'm going with Mitch Marner. I think he is just the kind of free agent that doesn't become available very often. He still may not. We don't know what's going to happen with Toronto.
Right.
But that would be my number one target. I think him and Bedard would work together very nicely. I think the whole idea that he is an underperformer in the playoffs is a huge myth. He has 7 points in 5 playoff games for the Leafs in this series against Ottawa that resumes tonight. And I think that he would be a guy who, if there is a little bit of that to his game where maybe the pressure gets to him or he gets frustrated or whatever it might be, if you could just turn that from 11 to 7 by going from Toronto to Chicago, I think that could help him immensely. Where the spotlight isn't just so bright on him all the time. And look, we've seen it in Toronto. Whenever they fail, they shine the spotlight on somebody different. For a while it was William Nylander. And then he was so good they couldn't do that anymore. Austin Matthews has gotten it a little bit.
It rotates.
It goes from guy to guy to guy, from star to star to star. And it is how it has always been in Toronto. Mitch Marner is no different from any of those guys. Is he Kirill Kaprizov? Not to me, but I don't think he's reaching free agency next summer. If he does, get him too. So I'm going to say, get the big gun now, get it done. You've got him. He's still in his prime, is a perfect fit with Bedard. Mitch Marner, you get it done. You don't have to worry about it going forward. You've got your top free agent to play with Bedard, and then work on developing all these prospects you have, including whoever they get in this year's draft with the top 4 pick.
Yeah. I'm on the same page. My ideal free agent, should he get there, is Mitch Marner for everything you said. I think he fits the timeline with his prime. The Blackhawks have the money to pay him. He's the style of player that can keep up with a guy, or probably might be faster, but plays and sees the game very similarly to Connor Bedard in a more distributor way. Could play. I had a thought that he might actually play better with a guy like Frank Nazar because of the speed factor of Nazar, different than Bedard. Play him with either. I'm fine as long as he's in Chicago. I'll be happy. And yeah, I think the expectations of him, or not the expectations, the opinions of him, I think come from more or less when push comes to shove in the postseason for the Maple Leafs. He hasn't necessarily always risen to the occasion. I think I saw it a couple of days ago in games 5, 6, and 7 of postseason play for the Maple Leafs. Someone had put Nylander, Matthews, Marner, and I think it might have been Tavares, but I can't remember exactly. But they had those guys as performances in those games of a series, and Marner was at the bottom of production. So tonight's Game 6, it's an opportunity for the Leafs to change the ever-present and always proven correct narrative that they can't get it done in the postseason.
That's correct.
But who knows? We'll see what happens tonight. If he comes out and has a 3-point game and they close it out, then I feel like that is a good way to erase that kind of narrative. But all told, he is still the top guy that's likely to hit the market. And I think the Blackhawks absolutely should be in on him.
Someone in the chat said the Hawks need goal scorers, not Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner averages 27 goals a year throughout his NHL
Pretty good,
career.
and he's had almost 100 points like 5 times in the last 5 years.
102 this year, 85, 99, 97, 67 and 55 games, 67 and 59 games, 94, 69,
Nice.
and 61 is a rookie.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's a score. I would call that scoring.
That's a guy who can score and will set up scorers.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm all for him.
Yep. All right. Next up on our list, we have our edition number 1. We'll call it the wild card. I'm doing it. People have been asking for it. I am offer sheeting and winning that offer sheet for Matthew Knies from Toronto.
You're getting all the Maple Leafs.
Yes. So here's the compensation if you want to play along at home.
Yeah.
If the Hawks signed Knies for a contract between 6.871375 and 9.161834, very specific, it would be the 2026 first, second, and third round pick.
The Hawks own.
The Hawks own of all those picks.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I'm doing it. I think it
And that's
accelerates the rebuild.
That's up to 9.1 and
9.1. Yep. If you want to go above that, it's 2 first-round picks in the next 3 drafts starting in 2026. It'd be a 2026 second and a 2026 third. So that's 2 firsts over the next 3. And I think the Hawks would be able to say which ones.
Yeah.
I think they dictate that. So I would imagine they would do 27, 28 because they would consider those as being the team improving, those draft picks not being quite as valuable.
Right.
That's if you're going over 9.161 for Matthew Knies. I think he's worth it. I think just like you talk about Sam Bennett, the kind of way they play and the age of Matthew Knies, like
He absolutely fits the timeline.
yes.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think you hope that with that draft capital that we're talking about giving up for Matthew Knies, you get a Matthew Knies. You know what guarantees you Matthew Knies? Getting Matthew Knies.
Matthew Knies.
So that's what I'm doing. I know it's a big give, but remember, draft picks are lottery tickets, and you don't know how they're going to pan out. If the Hawks do sign a top free agent this summer, that 2026 pick is not going to be as good as it was this year. And I think you've got to sometimes do the ballsy thing and
absolutely.
go for it. Go for it. I think Matthew Knies is going to be a star in this league, and I would love to see him become that star in Chicago. And what is so frustrating is that he was the piece coming back in a trade that the Hawks had worked out with the Leafs for Marc-Andre Fleury.
I remember that, yeah.
And was it Shanahan that?
No, it was Dubas.
I thought Dubas agreed to it and Shanahan vetoed it.
Well, that probably happened.
Yes, which is a smart move by Shanahan.
knowing the dynamics of how that
yes.
team was run.
Yes.
But no, it was Dubas that in the media came out and was just like
He was mad that it got out.
Yeah. I mean, he'll turn 23 at the beginning of next season. 29 goals, 58 points this season with the Maple Leafs. 6'3", 230. Like
it's everything you want.
He checks every box.
Yep.
That's the title of today's show, the box checking
The box
show.
checking.
He checks every box of what this team could use. Like that is a guy that is in your top 6 for the next decade. It would be awesome. What happens with Toronto in this postseason and offseason is going to be very interesting because I picked them to get to the Cup final. If they do, it might be a let's run it back. We know what we're doing now. Everyone comes back and they go for it again kind of thing. If they completely collapse and blow a 3-0 lead to the Sens and lose in the first round, it might be nuclear explosion time in Toronto. And the Blackhawks might be a team that can pick up the pieces in more ways than one. So we'll see. This is like the one upside to not be in the playoffs is just to see how the playoff teams react to how their seasons end.
Yeah. Yep. All right, we got to hit the break zone one more time. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us. We'll be back with Mario's wild card pick in a second on CHGO Blackhawks, powered by Bet365. And despite the rain, it's getting warmer. Today was not a hoodie day. I blew it. I'm a little bit damp under this thing, but that's okay. It's black. No one can tell. Oh, I just told everybody. Oh, well. Well, when the sun does come out, our friends at Shady Rays will help you get in the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that will not break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They've got durable frames and crystal clear optics. When I wear my Shady Rays with my contacts, I did not get laser surgery, people asking. I feel like I am seeing better than I see without them on, which is weird. I don't know if that's possible, but my brain says so it must be real.
They're polarized.
They're polarized, exactly. If they ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They've got a great protection plan. Every pair is backed by their lost or broken replacement program. And if you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. And CHGO viewers and listeners, go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with the code CHGO. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use the code CHGO today at shadyrays.com.
And whatever the sport, the app to bet it is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. You can bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season, whether it's spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circa Sports has it. You can fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. You got 4 games on the NHL slate tonight, all 4 of them potentially closeout games. You got the Leafs up 3-2 on the Sens, Vegas up 3-2 on the Wild, Dallas up 3-2 on the Avalanche, and the Oilers up 3-2 on the Kings. Jay, who is your pick to close out the series?
I don't feel good about any of them.
All right, 4 game 7s according to Jay. And if you want to pick all 4,
I was trying to find one, and I don't.
If you want to pick all 4 game 7s, you can do so on Circa Sports Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. You must be 21 or older, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER. I think
we are very much in danger, by the way, of both of our cup picks being eliminated.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I picked the Lightning, so see you later, everybody.
Bye.
And you got the Leafs.
I had the Leafs, who technically are still up in the series. Guys, it's not over. It's not over, guys.
It's over. It's over. As soon as they give up 2 wins, it might as well be 4.
Yeah, Avalanche, they were my cup winner, so hopefully they can get it done over Dallas.
They are my Western Conference champions, so I'll take that.
Yeah. I think Vegas ends it tonight. I think the Oilers end it tonight. And gosh darn it, I say the Leafs end it tonight.
All right.
No Game 7 tomfoolery for them.
The Wild are too pesky. They're not going to go away that easily.
Did you see how the game ended the other night with the double reviewed goal by Ryan Hartman? That was wild.
Nice job.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear about your wild card move number 1.
My wild card move number 1 is strictly off-season summer vibes. I want to see a Ferta Boys summer from this Blackhawks group, and I want it on TikTok and Instagram. I just want it all over social media. I want to see the young guys going on golf trips. I want to see them going on trips to the cabins in Northern Ontario. Sure. I want to see them at music festivals, having fun. Like that. I just want the narrative around this team and the young guys moving forward to get those excited feelings. And it has nothing to do with hockey. It's just, I want to see these guys having fun together, coming together as a group. And you saw the narratives around the Sharks this past season. Finished worse than the Blackhawks.
Yeah, significantly so.
And it was like, wow, what a setup the Sharks have, aren't they? They are so poised.
Wow, look at those vibes.
Look at Celebrini and Will Smith and all these guys. They're having such a great time. And the Blackhawks, who won more games than them and finished one spot better, everyone's miserable.
Connor Bedard's mad he took a penalty.
Yeah.
He's got to get out of there.
I completely want that to be flipped on its head starting this summer, where the guys are hanging out, golf trips, like I
Boating's
just
unbelievable.
having fun. Remember in the summers when Jonathan Toews would just pop up with a wakeboarding video and everybody be like, oh, he's having so much fun.
Yep.
And so, like, I want to see that again for this group, so it can roll that narrative into next season, because for the most part, and very likely, this team is going to be young, and it's going to be Bedard and Nazar and Vlasic and potentially, Rinzel and more.
Who's going to buy the beer, though?
Well, if they're in Canada, you only have to be 19.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Let's
Vlasic's 23,
Yeah, grandpa.
in the States. So, yeah, I mean, I want them to I want them to set that tone. You can invite Nick Foligno out on the boat too, just so someone responsible is there.
Yeah.
But I want that narrative, that vibe, that atmosphere, that aura, to use a children's word, to start this summer for this team moving into next year, so that the fan base can get really excited, really behind this young group as they come together and move into next season. You already have the centennial year coming up. Like, start that with some really good positive energy. That's what I want to see.
All right, my second wild card for the ideal Blackhawks offseason is signing Connor Bedard to an extension. Very much on the path of the vibes. A long-term deal for Connor Bedard silences all of that. He wants out. He's unhappy. All that crap. It's not true. He's flat out told you it's not true. Mm-hmm. No one that covers the team believes it's true, but the national narrative is very much so, I think, wishful thinking from 31 other fan bases. Get it done. Lock him up. Get him under contract. Let's go. To me, it's a huge thing. It's a huge sign of the future. And you want to talk about things that make coaches maybe a little more attractive? I've been hearing Connor Bedard's not happy in Chicago. Well, he just signed a long-term deal, so there you go. He's happy. Okay, good. Security, another secure thing.
Absolutely, yeah. Available for extension July 1st.
Yes.
So I would love to see that. I also would like to see, and I'm going to plead ignorance on this one, that I didn't look it up until this moment. But I feel like I'm correct in saying that Spencer Knight is also eligible for a contract extension this summer, because he is an RFA at the end of the year. He's got arbitration eligible RFA at the end of this season. Coming up on, he's signed through this year. I would like to see him have an extension too.
Sure. Because
there's been a lot of excitement and a lot of assumption, and me included, that he is the goaltender of the future. And I think I would love to see that reflected in a contract.
How about both?
that is the future goaltender, your guy that you're saying, yep, he's the number one guy, or he's at least going to be in the mix to be the number one guy, because you have Arvid Soderblom and Drew Comezzo and Adam Guyan also still all in the system as well. So I would love to see that happen this summer. You have him through the end of the year. Why not have it be that investment moment in him? We heard him talk at the end of the year about, his meticulous process of looking for a place to stay in Chicago. And, is it going to be a home, an apartment next to trains? It's not going to be next to trains.
Eventually you get used to it, Spencer.
Yeah. But, I would love to see that for him. Just another sign of that, like, security and stability for not only him, but also the organization.
How about Nazar and Korchinski too? Just get all four that are eligible, get them locked up.
Sure. Yeah. If on January 1st, outside of, landing Mitch Marner, you also say we've signed extensions to all these players, I mean, you might as well plan a parade of off-season victory right down Madison Street, because it would be, that would talk about vibes being through the roof going into next season.
Yes, 100%. All right, we are very close to 100 likes, so let's get there. Hit that like button for us, please. And while you're there on YouTube, you might as well subscribe to the YouTube page as well. So summarizing our off-season dreaming, I have Mike Sullivan as my dream head coach, Michael Misa as my dream draft pick, Mitch Marner as my dream free agent. My wild card dream is offer sheet and sign Matthew Knies and a Connor Bedard extension as well.
My ideal offseason includes the Blackhawks hiring Jeff Halpern as the head coach, picking Michael Misa, signing Mitch Marner, having extremely positive summer vibes from the young group, and getting a Spencer Knight extension done.
All right.
I think that would be a good offseason.
Good stuff. I'm down with that. Speaking of Connor Bedard, we have the first names for Team Canada's World Championships rosters, and he's not on them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot more to be named. He might be on the fence about playing. We don't know. But here's who's there so far. Macklin Celebrini, Will Cooley, Adam Fantilli, Tyson Forrester, Barrett Hayton, Bo Horvat, Kent Johnson, Travis Konechny, Ryan O'Reilly, Noah Dobson, Riker Evans, Brandon Montour, Travis Sanheim, Mackenzie Weegar, and in goal, Dylan Garand. There's more to come.
Also, Porter Martone is going to be at least at the World Championships camp. So throw his name in there.
Okay.
Well.
Yeah. So we don't have any update on Bedard, trying to find out if he's going to do it, but we'll see.
I mean, he did it last year, and at the end of season press conference, I believe he was asked about it, and he said, he didn't really give a straightforward answer. It was pretty, coy about making a decision on doing that. But, we've seen Vlasic and Nazar already be announced for the U.S. We saw Soderblom announced with Sweden. Bedard's season's been over for, officially over for 2.5 weeks. It's been already. So I think, speculating, I think if he was going to be on that team, he'd be in that group, because those are all guys whose seasons have been over, or have been, knocked out of the first round of the playoffs. Like, if he doesn't play, I'm not going to lose my mind over it, because maybe he saw how last season went, had his injury, the whirlwind season it was. Then he went to World Juniors or World Championships, and then just how his off season went. Maybe it's going into this off season thinking just more strictly about how he handles his energy levels, his body, how his body responds to things. He's talked about it, and everyone else has talked about it, about getting stronger and his, adding a step into his game, getting a little faster. Like, if he's centering his entire offseason schedule focused on what he's going to do for the NHL season, I'm not going to knock him for that.
That would not shock me. I could see him saying, you know what, this sounds like a lot of fun, but I have work to do, and my commitment is to Chicago and to the Blackhawks, so I'm going to do everything I can to be ready and better for next season. If he's simply passed over, fine.
I'd be
all that will do is light a fire under his ass too. Like, Connor Bedard is not the kind of guy who's gonna be, no one likes me. He's gonna do everything he can to prove that.
I'd be shocked if Team Canada was passing on having Connor Bedard be part of their team.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's.
But
happen.
I mean, if he's like I said, like, if he's the one dictating, like, no, I'm going to just have this offseason be my offseason, totally fine with that.
Yep.
So
me too. All right, we've got some anything we got to do before we get these final mailbag questions in.
Want to do a super chat real quick?
Yeah,
sure,
let's do that.
As long as we got one.
Michael Evans, $5 says thoughts on an offer sheet for Gabe Vilardi. Doubt Winnipeg lets him go, but he's a good asset. He'd be a good asset. He's 6'3", plays wing and center, power play 1, and I think PK.
Yeah, I think that's a guy that checks all the boxes, fits the timeline, is a really good
25 for the record.
Yeah, like he's a guy that you for sure plug into your top 6 and is an immediate improvement. And yeah, the versatility aspect of his game is really just a really good thing to have across the lineup. We saw with Ryan Donato this year, how versatile he was, able to play on the fourth line, play on the top line, play on power play, be the role of the guy who's going to get you some goals on a night, be the role of a guy who's going to go into the corners and, win puck battles. Like a guy like Gabe Vilardi also has those qualities to him. So again, I'm all for Kyle Davidson being as aggressive as possible. He wants to trade up into a draft, great. Wants to throw 10 offer sheets out there and piss off every other NHL GM in the process.
Too bad.
Great. Be aggressive.
Work for the Blues.
Yeah, be aggressive and improve this team. That's his job.
Yep.
His job is to make the best team possible, and I'm all for it.
Velarde makes just over $3.4 million this year.
He's going to get a raise.
He'll get a raise. Probably not. I don't think it would take what it would take to get Knies to get him. So are you comfortable, Mario, saying between the 4.58 and 6.87 range?
Yeah.
That would be a 2026 first and a 2026 third for Gabe Velarde.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on. I mean, you can't offer sheet everybody because you have to have your compensation figured out. But
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if that's an avenue Davidson goes down and the option is there, all for it. Sure.
Yeah, so remember, it has to be your own first-round pick. It can't be a pick you acquired. So I got to remember what Edmonton did. They must have had – well, how could they – I got to look at
what the Blues did to get –
I'm sorry, what the Blues
Holloway
did
and
Broberg.
I mean, it depends on how much they –
I forget what the compensation was for those guys.
Signed them for.
To the internet.
But it was something that they reacquired their own pick from somebody. I remember that happening. I think it was at the draft.
Broberg is signed at 4.5 and Holloway 2.2.
Yeah. I
so
remember
based on this, 2.2 would be just a third round pick.
Yeah, there was a trade that they made that they swapped. Yeah,
second and a third.
They swapped their. I think it was a third round pick. They got back their own third for like a future third or something like that. And then those offer sheets came down. They worked out.
I'm with Lord Hossa, who says that Knies is worth that first round pick. I don't know if Velarde is. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm giving up a 2026 first.
If I'm picking between the two, go all in on Knies. But if Knies isn't available and Velarde is, I'm fine going after him.
That first round pick is still going to be top.
But if you
10?
It's a 2026 first. If you give that up and you sign Velarde, let's say, Velarde instantly improves your lineup. You still have a 2026 first round pick. It's not yours. It's not going to be in the lottery, but you still have that. So, I think with the group of young players that you have in the system, the guys that are ahead of schedule, like
that'd be Florida's pick, by the way.
Florida, yeah. So it's a late first, but I think if you were to let's say you add Velarde, and you end up you're short of the playoffs, right? But only by a few points, then you're picking 13th. So would you give up a 13th overall pick to get Gabe Velarde? I think you probably would.
Where was Frank Nazar picked?
13th.
No.
Nazar?
I would not give up Frank Nazar for Gabe Velarde.
What are you saying?
I would not give up that pick for Gabe Velarde. I would not give up Frank Nazar for Gabe Velarde.
Well, yeah. Well, there's been busts at 13.
Sure, of course. I just think that's too much for Velarde. I'm not opposed to the idea of trading it. Someone in chat, it was Adam, said Byfield would be a guy. That's another one that I would give up that 26 first. I don't think Gabe Velarde is there. He's right there.
I don't think Quentin Byfield is leaving.
No, he's not going anywhere
at all.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But if he did, yes. All right, couple mailbags.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get a couple mailbags in here. These are from our Twitter at CHGO_Blackhawks. We do it every Monday. You got those ready to go, Joey?
I don't believe that I do. Let me see what we got here.
We'll have to rifle back through the old mailbags we uploaded. Let's see.
Grab them real fast.
Yeah.
We did one of them yesterday. I'm trying to remember which one we had.
I got some here.
You got some? Scrolling there. Okay, we did.
I got a funny one here from Jester.
We did this. We did the 7 words for Davidson.
I think that's all we did. I think
that's the only one we did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's one from Jester. He says, with Tyler Johnson signaling the fall of empires, which team would you want him to sign to next? The Blues.
Sure.
Go away.
Tyler Johnson to the Blues.
Stop it.
Yeah, go get your rebuild started.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one.
Chris Mearsman says, what do you think of Jay Leach as a candidate for the next head coach? He was on the staff for Jim Montgomery before he left the Blues. That's what we're talking about with Jeff Halpern being on the staff of a very successful coach. Jay Leach is a name that I've seen not just this year, many years with every coaching search. It's a guy who's on the radar for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, the idea of the short lists and the long lists. Something that Elliot Friedman has, talked about with all these coaching vacancies and the plethora of candidates out there. Yeah, I mean, I think since it has been David Carl is a no, the wide net the Blackhawks should be casting should be out as wide as possible. So, guys that have the experience like Jay Leach, there's tons of assistants out there that have been head coaches before, either in the AHL or in the NHL before. There's been, guys that have been assistants for 20 years. Jamie Compound has been a name that's been thrown out there.
Right, Trent
Yawney, Todd Reardon, as Bill says as well. There's a lot of names out there. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for the opportunities that these candidates have, and really, like, there's not one that feel in that mold of like an assistant looking for a promotion or a longtime experienced guy looking for an opportunity. There's not one that like jumps out that is like flag in the ground. Yes, has to be this person.
I agree with that.
So if Jay Leach is around, sure, see what he's like.
Yeah, just remember, by interviewing a lot of people doesn't mean you won't get the guy you ultimately want. I think the Bears are a good example of that. They interviewed literally everybody.
Right.
Even though everyone only wanted Ben Johnson for the most part, and they got him. And I had to remind myself of that because I was like, oh my God, it's taking too long. Just hire Mike McCarthy because he's not terrible. And they waited, and they got their guy.
Right.
Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Guy who picks the Tampa Bay Lightning to win the Cup playoffs. I meant to win a game in the Cup playoffs. Was that not clear?
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. You got one.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Next question here from Alberto says, do you think the Hawks would have selected a forward with the second overall pick last year if they knew how well Renzel developed this season? I know right-hand defensemen are a hot commodity, but it seems like their defense and offense prospect pools are lopsided. I would say, lopsided is, you play 12 forwards and 6 defensemen. So that's going to make it seem a little more lopsided than it is. Mm-hmm. But Bedard, Nazar, Moore, Boisvert, you've got forwards, Spellacy, Lardis. Like, you've got forwards that you feel really good about.
Yeah.
Just as you do defensemen, but there's just more spots to fill. So I think that's why it feels lopsided.
Yeah. And I think, too, if you look at the first round picks under Kyle Davidson, he's had 8 of them. 5 of them have been forwards, including Connor Bedard. So I think that, the idea that they're thin at forward is a bit exaggerated just because they don't have as many Bedard level.
Yeah, they don't have a Demidov
forwards. Yeah. So if you had Demidov instead of Levshinov, you'd say, hey, our prospect pool is really balanced. We have these, 2 studs at the top of it. You have, Levshinov and Korchinski and those guys. But I think, or not Levshinov, you have Renzel and Korchinski, and you wouldn't have Levshinov in that scenario. But I think they valued the defenseman heavier because if you have 6 solid defensemen moving forward, that's your whole core. Yeah. That's your whole group, and it's figured out. If you have, now it's unlikely that an entire core is going to be all drafted players once you get to a contending status. But if it is, and you have Levshinov, Korchinski, Vlasic, Del Mastro, Allen, Kaiser, like that's already 7 that you all feel very confident in their NHL prospects moving forward. Like that's you have that locked up. Then you figure out the forward positions from there. And like you said, like there's more positions to fill out. Not every forward you draft is going to be a top line forward. Like you have to have, like Sacha Boisvert, first round pick, might be a very good third line center for the Blackhawks when they're like contending.
I think you're kind of counting on that. And who knows? He could be better than that, right? Like you don't know. And I think it's hard to get a gauge on these guys until we see them, because I think a lot of people this year kind of got down on Oliver Moore because the numbers at Minnesota were not through the roof, exploding. Like, oh my God, this guy's like 2 points a game and just lighting the world on fire. But he came in the NHL and held his own. Like, yeah, he'll start in Rockford, as he should, and get that pro game under his belt and work out the kinks and stuff. But that seems a little better. AJ Spelliscy comes into camp this year at 18, almost makes the team. He was so good that they're like, we're going to keep him around as long as we can. Yeah. Because he's playing really well. And I know it's preseason, but the Hawks preseason sucked. And he was like one of the few bright spots of the preseason. And so, like, there's going to be guys that are better than you think. There's going to be guys that aren't quite as good as you think. And, you know, we got to see how it shakes out. But the point being, and I think Alberto's question is, there is not that bona fide, this guy is going to be a top line scoring center or winger. They don't have that. That is true. It seems, though, very likely that they will address that at this year's draft, and also potentially in the offseason with trades and free agency.
Right.
So, because once you fill that, even if it's one guy, you feel really good about the future of your bottom six.
Oh, yeah.
The top six needs a little work, but you sign one, you draft one, there's 5 of your top 6 you can pretty much check. Bedard, free agent, trade piece, Nazar, and draft pick.
Yeah, or Donato.
Sure.
You know?
Yes.
There's lots of options out there.
All right, super chat from Sintered Kraken.
Sure.
Are assistants on playoff teams allowed to do interviews during the playoffs like the NFL? New diehard here, been watching for a long time. It's harder in the NHL because
I don't think
they're playing every other day. They don't have a week off between games. So no.
Maybe
there might be some
don't hear about
agent chatter.
Yeah.
Like talking to the agent on behalf of the guy, and I'm sure the candidate is also talking to the agent. And but in terms of like face-to-face sit down or over Zoom, whatever it might be, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say probably part of the NHL culture or unwritten rules of that process is, hey, can you focus on the here and now? And then once we're done here, you can have an opportunity to interview. Right. I think that's probably part of it.
One more here before we wrap up. Justin Evans says, for $13.5 million per year, would you take Mitch Marner or Nikolai Ehlers and Sam Bennett? Hypothetically, these are mutually exclusive. Is $13.5 million enough for Bennett and Ehlers?
Says what, 6.75 per each on average?
Yeah. I don't think that's enough.
Hypothetically, if it was, would you say, okay, 14 and a half? Because Marner's going to get a lot of money. So if you could guarantee me both Nikolai Ehlers and Sam Bennett, I might go that option.
I mean, depth is what wins.
I still think the top target, as we said at the beginning of the show, should be Mitch Marner. Should he reach free agency? Should any of these guys reach free agency? But if you're guaranteeing Bennett and Ehlers are both Blackhawks on the opening night roster, I think I might go that route. Just because you spread out the wealth a little bit.
I'm sort of tempted to go that way too. And Marner's a different level of scorer. Again, 100-point guy, 30-goal guy. But you're getting 2 stud forwards with a lot of good hockey left in them. I would be tempted to take Bennett and Ehlers too over Marner. Because it doesn't mean because the 2026 UFA list isn't bad either.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you could go get someone then too. And I think one of the fears I have about Marner is because he's really the only guy in that tier that there's going to be a massive bidding war for him and things are going to get crazy stupid for him. And if someone's going to have to overpay to get him, it's probably going to be the Hawks or a team like the Hawks.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I'll say this. Kyle Davidson is very measured. He's got a long-term plan. He has several scenarios that play out. I don't think he's going to do anything reckless just to get Mitch Marner. And I think he's gone a long way and flat out saying, look, it's unlikely we sign a top free agent. There's 31 other teams going for him.
Right.
It's probably not going to happen. It doesn't mean we're not going to try. It doesn't mean we're not going to do our due diligence. And he's right. Statistically, it is unlikely they're going to sign Mitch Marner. But they've got the money. They've got the roster spot. They've got the prospects. We'll see who the coach is. But again, there's 31 other opportunities sitting there for Mitch Marner too.
Yep.
So, and maybe he wants to go stick it to the Leafs.
Sign with
Boston.
Ooh. That would be great drama.
Or anyone in the East.
Yeah, right. Speaking of great drama, tonight, Ice Hogs and Milwaukee Admirals, game 1 of the second round of the Calder Cup playoffs for them. So I think that's a 7 o'clock puck drop. If you happen to be in Milwaukee, you can go to Panther Arena, check out Game Time for tickets, last-minute deals, and check out the Ice Hogs. All these fun young guys that we're talking about, a lot of them are on that group. Colton Dock is back, so that's great. Drew Comezzo's been on fire, so
Literally.
hopefully they can keep their momentum that they've got going from the opening round into the next round. They have not beaten Milwaukee on the road this season, so no time like the present to get that first one.
Let's do it.
So they play Thursday tonight.
Hey, the Wolves had their number in the regular season too, and that didn't do much for them. So
they play Thursday tonight. Saturday is also a 7 o'clock game, and then Wednesday back in Rockford for Game 3. So yeah, go check them out.
Should be fun. All right, we'll talk to everybody tomorrow, Friday at 2 o'clock, right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast, powered by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.